In this lesson, we're going to look at a third type of loop, the DoWhile loop. The main difference between the DoWhile loop and the while loop that we looked at earlier is the DoWhile loop has its test at the bottom of the loop, which means that the body of the loop is always going to be entered at least one time, since we don't test to stop the loop until the bottom. That's important for certain applications like the one I'm going to show you, where you always want to go into the bottom of the loop at least one time. So the example I'm going to show is a query system where we're going to actually query the user to enter a couple of numbers and then show the sum. And in this case, we want to do at least one iteration of the loop, one query, get a couple of numbers from the user before we decide whether or not to keep going or not. So I've already started a little bit of the program here, and I've imported the java.util.scanner class because we're going to get input from the user using the scanner class. So the first thing I want to do is create a scanner object. So I'll do that. Like so. Now I'm going to create a couple of variables and assign them values of 0. And I'm going to assign our more variable, which we use to decide whether or not to continue to get more input. Now we go into the loop. The do loop looks like this. The do while loop looks like this. We have a do, followed by we open the body with a bracket. Now we're going to write the code for the body, which is a prompt, followed by a statement to get input from the user, another prompt, get the input. Now we're going to compute the result. Nothing fancy here, just simple addition. And we're going to display the result very simply, no fancy output here. And then finally, ask the user if they want more. Get that input. Now we can close the loop like that. Now, one little trick here. Notice I used the equals method with the string. In Java, using the equality operator, the double equal sign, does not always guarantee good results. So anytime you're comparing strings, you should always use the string comparison functions, including the equals function when you're testing strictly for equality. So let's compile our program. Well, let's stop for a second. Let's take a look at this. So again, the loop's condition is at the bottom, which means that the loop body is going to be entered into one time before we test. And then we test at the bottom so that if more does not equal yes, then we stop. If more equals yes, then we go back to the top of the loop and iterate through it one more time. Now let's compile. No errors, so we'll close and we'll run the program. So we'll just enter a couple simple numbers, 2, 3. The result is 5. Do we want more? Yes. Let's do 34 and 12 is 46. That's enough. We've proven that we can do simple addition, so let's enter no or n, and the input stops. And we stopped again. Let me close out our output window, because the test was at the bottom. So at this point, when I entered n for more, the next line is the test, the conditional, more is not equal to yes, it's equal to y, it's equal to n, so the program stopped. So that's a very classical example of when to use a do-while over just a while. Semantically, they're the same. They do exactly the same thing. I could have written this program with a while loop and put the test at the top, but for some programs, such as this, it's actually more convenient to have the test at the bottom. And when you do that, you want to do that by writing a do-while.